everyone. How's it going? Hope you all are doing well on this lovely Monday. Um, yeah, not too much going on for me. I'm high anxiety because my surgery is coming up this week and I'm just stressed about it and how it's going to affect school drop off and pickup and then, the financial side of it. But it's something that has to be done. So I'm trying to remind myself of that and not be such a baby. But it's hard, and people that have anxiety understand. And it's not something that I can just turn off and pretend like it's not bothering me or like affecting me. I'm struggling to focus on one thing. So it's like I'm doing laundry today, but I'm like, there's all these other little things around the house where I'm like, oh, I should do that. Oh, I should do that. Like I can't even focus long enough to figure out what I should do next. Excuse me. So that's kind of where I'm at. Work should be fun because I have so much stuff to get in order before I leave. My last day is Wednesday. And I have to get everything set up for my team for the month of June. In July, another manager will kind of take over that stuff, but just trying to make sure everything is in place and my team is taking care of the best that they can be. While I'm out, I don't like having other supervisors take over my team. This is the first time this has ever happened besides when the pandemic hit. I was furloughed for like 5 months. And at that point, like majority of my team was furloughed as well. So it was totally different. So I have another supervisor that is going to be taking over my team, and we're very similar in most ways, except I am very much an empath and he is not. He's very like black and white. He's not really an emotional person. He doesn't really understand building rapport with agents and knowing them as a person beyond them as a worker. I know my agents in and out. There are certain ones that are a little more reserved, and it's all about really gauging when they when they first start, if they're someone that likes to share or if they're someone that is just, this is my job, I'm here to work. And that's totally fine too. I am a sharer. I don't mind kind of putting out there what I choose to put out there. I don't overshare. So, our one-to-ones are very different because it's not just about their stats, their productivity for the week prior. Or grade in their quality. It's not just about that. I always start off with, how are you? So how did blah, blah, blah go? Because a lot of times, again, they share things about their personal world. And that makes me feel good because I know if they're struggling, they're going to come to me because they feel comfortable coming to me for that stuff. I have an agent, I met with her last week, and she jumped in our meeting, and I was like, because I work from home. So it was a Zoom meet. And right away, I knew something was off. She is like the most cheerful, but not like overly cheerful. Like she loves her job and she's like a really cool chick. And she jumped in the meeting and I could tell something was wrong right away. And I was like, hey, you look tired or something. Are you okay? And she was like, yeah, me and my boyfriend are in a little tiff right now, and I'm not sure how it's going to work out. And so right away I was like, shit, because that is heavy to deal with when you are trying to work, going through a breakup and like the uncertainty before the breakup happens. I don't wish that on anyone. It's so hard to focus, especially in customer service, when you have to be cheerful and help out assholes at times. You know what I mean? People don't care what you're going through. Your job is to help them. And so, I didn't pry into it. She kind of said that. And I was like, well, listen, if you need to take extra breaks, you take extra breaks. If you need me and you want to talk to me, I am here. I am a vault. So anything that you talk about, no one else at, our work, would know. But also, you don't have to. You don't have to talk to me. The fact that I know something is going on is all I need to know, because her stats the following week could show a spike in like away time and stuff like that, and I wouldn't know why. So they always tell me when things are going on. They don't always have to go in depth. Some do, some don't. And I respect that. I respect that they're just giving me the heads up saying, hey, I'm not doing all right. Stuff's going on. I am not my best right now. I am trying my best, but just so you know, this isn't my normal best. And I get that. We're all people, and we go through things. They say, leave your problems at the door when you come into work, but that's not always like, that's really hard to do when you're going through things that matter so much more than your work in that moment. You know what I mean? We always say, oh, it's just blah, 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 which is like the product we sell. I try not to give too much information about where I work. We're not saving lives. It's just blah, blah, blah. And it's so true. And when you're going through something where your life is kind of crumbling, it's really hard to care about someone's order being lost of something that they can do without. It's not life or death. It's not a make or break type of product. Although customers act like it is. And so you have to pretend that it is. But when everything is falling around, breaking, crumbling around you, it's really difficult. Last year, I lost my kid's grandmother, who was like my best friend. And then I lost my mother. My entire world last year was just like absolutely insane. They died 6 months apart. So it was like I wasn't even recovered from the first one. And then my mom passed away. So, I have a manager that is beyond empathetic. She just goes above and beyond to make sure we are all okay. It's not just with me. She's like this with everyone. And, that's where I get it from, because I was shown, hey, it's okay to be human, to keep it human, as we like to say. We're all people. We're not just here doing a job. We're people. We have a world outside of work. And we always say work-life balance. It's really important. And it's hard when your world kind of crumbles down. So, my boss has been amazing. And like I said, last year was horrible. And, she still checks in and asks, like, how are you mentally? How, whatever. So it's important to me that when I am not here, my team still gets that kind of, I don't know if I would call it nurturing, but just that human side where, like, I knew right away when she jumped on that something was wrong. I didn't know what, but there was no smile on her face and her eyes looked different. And that's why I was like, are you tired? Because something wasn't right there. So I am a little nervous because I have a lot of people on my team. There's a reason that I kept some of the people on my team, for that very reason, that there was a bond and there was a lot going on in their life. And so when I had to move people from my team, my boss was like, you're going to keep so-and-so because they have that going on and you know how to handle that, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like, oh, geez, excuse me. I'm on my first cup of coffee still. So it's like, there are people on my team that I specifically kept because other managers wouldn't have that same type of rapport with them. They wouldn't have that in-depth knowledge. And it's all about them feeling comfortable enough to share it. And so things that they've shared with me, I don't know if they would share with another supervisor. So I'm a little anxious for them. And how it's all going to go. But again, I can't control it. I'm going to have to let them kind of take the reins, and it is what it is at that point. My surgery is Thursday. I'm still waiting to figure out the time that it's going to be so I can figure out like school pickup and crap like that. So yeah, I just have a lot of anxiety today, and it's hard to focus. Like I have done like 10 things, but literally none of them are noticeable, like around the house, because it was just like random weird shit that I was like, ooh, let me tackle that. No one else is going to notice. Not that it matters, but still, I'm trying to keep busy, but at the same time, my brain's just like racing, and it's super annoying because I know everything's going to be fine, but I still have to worry about what if it's not? What if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? I can't turn it off. I take anxiety meds, and I might have to take an extra one today because I could take up to 3, but I only take one. So I might need to take another one just to chill the hell out because it's exhausting being in my head sometimes. um, so yeah, so I follow this lady that she basically has in-laws that yeah, I'm totally jumping into a whole new project or conversation. This is what I mean. My mind's just so I follow her, and she basically cut off her in-laws from seeing their children because they were like incredibly toxic. And I really don't like that word. I feel like it has like it's just used so much now, and it's like I don't know. I don't really like using the word. But anyway, it made me think of like, boundaries like with family and things like that. And I've touched on it before that my brother is like, ooh, the family, we have to like, make it work and all that good stuff. But I was thinking of a prime example of from my childhood where it was like I realized my family brushes things under the rug. So trigger warning, saying that right now. So when I was probably, I want to say like 9 years old, my Aunt Carol lived on the second floor, or yeah, she lived on the second floor. We lived on the third floor. And my aunt had 3 kids. Her oldest was female, a girl. And our family is very like warped and screwed up in a lot of ways. And so one of my uncles had come to pick her up so she could go babysit my cousin. He came to pick up my cousin to go babysit. And everyone on my mom's side does drugs, like everyone. Some worse than others. Well, I mean, most of my aunts and uncles are dead now. I only have one left out of 5. And so me saying that this is important that he was on drugs. Okay. So he picked her up. He never went to their house. He never brought her to go babysit. And about 4 hours later, my aunt got a call from the police saying that they found my cousin. She was alive. They found her in a field with my uncle. So you can kind of piece together the rest of that. And we all got in the car, and it was strange to me because I was appalled. Like I overheard what was going on, and I was just like, oh, like that's absolutely horrible. Like, oh my God, like I want to go see her. Like I want to make sure she's okay. So they let me go. They let me go. My mom, my aunt, and me all drove to the police station to go get my cousin. They wanted her to go to the hospital for obvious reasons. But my aunt was like, well, we know he did it. Like, we know what he did to her. So, like, we don't need to do, like, a kit or anything like that at the hospital. And it was weird because we picked her up. She got in the car. And my aunt's reaction to everything that had just happened to her was wild. Like, I remember the ride was kind of quiet. And then, like, my aunt was just talking about, like, random shit. Not anything to do with what just happened. Not consoling her daughter, like nothing. And I never let that go. Like from that moment, even though I was like 8 or 9 years old, I was young. Um, I never looked at my aunt the same because I was just like, how is this okay? And then the kicker was he went away to rehab and everyone acted like it never happened. He came to Thanksgiving, he came to Christmas. We always had everything at my house. So he would come over and it was just like the most uncomfortable thing um, for me because I was like, how are we allowing this person? And their excuse was, well, he was on drugs. And it's like, he might have been on drugs, but that doesn't count. That doesn't matter to me. Like, wrong is wrong. Whether you're on drugs or not, you knew that that was your niece. You knew that she was a teenager to top it off, like a young teen. Um, and they just kind of swept that under the rug. So over the years, um, and a lot happened with that cousin. Something snapped when that happened to her and how it was handled and the fact that she had to see him at these family things. Um, Within a year of that happening, she started hearing voices. So they diagnosed her with schizophrenia. And then one day the voices told her to jump out the third floor window. And she landed on her neck and is still paralyzed, basically the waist down. The fact that she lived is like miraculous because she literally landed on this part. That was the first part that hit the pavement. So she also was like, what the fuck? Like, why are we allowing him around me? Like, everyone acted like he was on drugs. It's not a big deal. We're not going to bother with it. And she literally lost her fucking mind. And to this day, she is still on a heavy dose of medication. Yet, out of that bunch, she is the most stable, mentally stable. So that should tell you something. But I never looked at my aunt the same. I was beyond grossed out with my uncle, like just absolutely disgusted. I didn't want to be alone with him. I remember one time my mom was like, hey, you have to go to the Cape to your uncle's house to watch his two youngest because he needs to go away for work. So I told him you would watch the kids. And I was like, so at this point, I was like maybe 14 and I was very uncomfortable. And I was like, Ma, like, I don't want to go up there. And she's like, it's fine. He's not on drugs. It's fine. Stop being like that. So I got ridiculed in a sense because I was uncomfortable being around him and I did not want to. So he comes and picks me up and I made sure I wore like a lot of layers. I don't know, whatever reason I felt that that would protect me. I wore a lot of layers. I go downstairs. He gets out of the car and he goes, you can drive. I'm 14 years old. I didn't actually get my license till I was 19. Like I had no business being in a car. But he was like, I'm tired. You drive. So I'm like, here we fucking go. It's starting off weird already. So he didn't end up doing anything. However, we would get about 40 minutes away because from my house to the Cape was like, or where he lived in the Cape was almost like 2 hours. It was like a 2 hour drive. So my mom was like, call me as soon as you get there. I expect you to be there within like the next 2.5 hours. Call me as soon as you get there. And I guess that was her way of saying like, you'll be fine. I'll know that you're there, blah, blah. Okay. So, we're about 40 minutes in the drive and he goes, oh my gosh, can you turn back around? I forgot I was supposed to run by my friend's house. So I was like, okay, I guess so. So we turn around. Mind you, I've never driven a day in my life. Like this was like the wildest fucking thing. So I turn back around. He tells me what street and everything. So we're back in New Bedford. We go, he goes in this house. He's in this house for like 30 minutes, comes out, high as a kite, goes, lays in the back seat, totally like wasted. Now, I don't know how to get to his house. So I start driving, and at that point I knew how far I got to, so I knew like up to that point. There was no like map quest and shit like that. That wasn't really a thing. Excuse me, God. Um, so this happened like 3 more times where I would get to a certain point and he would tell me to turn around and go back to that same house because he was doing drugs. So finally, the third time I was like, listen, I am not driving back here. You either want me to go watch your child or I'm going home and you can figure out how to get home. Like, I'm not doing this. So finally, we get to his house. My brother happened to be there because he used to work for him. He used to live up there in the Cape. And that was really the only reason I was like okay with going there, because I knew my brother lived like in the house next door. So I was okay with it. So we finally get there and he's high as a kite. And my brother's like, what the hell's going on? So I tell him everything. And he's like, dude, are you serious? Why did he keep going? Why did you keep bringing him back? I'm like, dude, the guy's high. Like, I don't know what I'm not even supposed to be driving. Can we talk about the fact that I just drove 2.5 hours and some of the portion was on repeat, back and forth, back and forth. Like, we're not going to talk about any of that. So that's just a very small story of why I've decided since having children that my kids will not know any of that, any of my mom's side of the family. Like, I have stories for each and every male in my family. And so my brother gets upset because like during like holidays, he'll invite everyone over. And I'll make comments. I'm like, oh God, like they're coming, but he's like, stop, it's family. And it's like, you have no idea, because I didn't feel the need to tell anyone all of this stuff because this is how they handled it. They swept everything under the rug like it was okay. And so now I have boundaries. I'm old enough to say what those are, and I'm not scared to voice them anymore. And so, no, my kids don't know their cousins, like my cousins' kids and stuff, and they're not going to know them. And I have a certain cousin that's always like, hey, we got to get together, blah, blah, blah. But no, like weird things with all the males in my family. So bottom line is, people always say like, oh, your family's your family, but then there's like toxic behavior and trauma and all these things. And I feel like when you get older and you have children, you should be able to protect them and let them know that they're safe and they're cared for and their concerns, their voice matters. And that's why I'm not very close with them. I keep in touch with my brother. But beyond him, it would not matter to me at all if I never saw any of them ever again. Besides, I have a cousin, my cousin Rachel and my cousin Malcolm. They're good people. That's my auntie, my aunt that isn't actually my aunt. Those are her kids. Love them. They're completely out of this conversation. But everyone else, I don't want to be around them. I don't want to talk to them. Last year, like with the funeral, and I had to see a lot of them. Some of them are in jail, so I mean that worked out. But it's just really important as parents that we allow our kids to voice boundaries, and we also keep them safe and break that cycle of, oh, we just put everything under the rug because they're on drugs and that's okay and it's acceptable, and it's like, it's really not. And so yeah, her talking about that, and then people were like saying like that's ignorant, that's why like your in-laws don't like you and blah blah. And it's like, I have to disagree. If as a parent, if there are things going on that are affecting your children in a negative way, if it's impacting them in a negative way, you have the right as a parent to say, no, not going to do this. Like, you're not welcome here. No, you're not taking them, whatever the situation is. I feel like as a parent, you have that right to do that. And yes, there are people that abuse that and use that against people just to hurt them. We're not talking about them. I'm not purposely doing it to hurt anyone. I do it to protect my children. And I'm not going to apologize for it. So I think that is ridiculous. Bottom line. So anywho, I hope this conversation wasn't too heavy first thing in the morning, but you guys won't be listening to it till later in the day. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I don't know. I don't know what is going on with my voice. It's only when I start talking like in a video, it gets all warped. But I don't know if I'll do school pickup. I probably will. I say that like every time and then I end up doing it. And then it's the one time that I don't say it that I won't end up doing it. But anyhow, have a great day. Hope you are all enjoying the summer weather or whatever type of weather this is. It's muggy out here today. But have a great day and stay safe. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.